Today is the 15th of February 2024, and we have finally got confirmation on what the new names for the overground lines are going to be. This was confirmed a few months ago, maybe a year ago, I want to say, by the mayor. And we have got the names, and they are controversial to say the least. They have caused a bit of a stir up in the transport and London community alike. So, these are the 6 names along with the colours. I'm just here on Ian Visits. Go check out this website. His amazing articles on everything London. So, let's look at the 6 new names and the colours they are. So, the yellow, that goes between Watford Junction and Euston, is called the Lioness Line. The blue line, which goes between Stratford/Richmond and Clapham Junction, is the Mildmay line, I think. Or is it Mildmay? I think it's Mildmay. The one that goes all the way from Highbury and Islington to West Croydon, Clapham Junction, New Cross, Crystal Palace, etc., etc., is the Windrush line. It's coloured red, or it's a bit more of an off red, dark red. The Weaver line is coloured maroon. This is the Lee Valley lines before. And the Suffragette line is the Gospel to Barking Riverside line, coloured green. Finally, the Liberty line is coloured grey, and it's the Romford to Upminster line. So I'm just going to be telling you what I think about it, what other people have thought about it, and what will happen eventually. So number one, I don't think any of this can change. This is how it looks on a map, by the way. So here is the new key. I think what they need to do, they need to have some sort of title. So London Underground here, London Overground, and then other services here. So on the map, on the full map, it will look like here, this. Okay, can you see? So you can see that this line here has got that red. It's a bit more orange on the map. It looks a bit more orange. Zoom in, it looks a bit more red. And then you've got all the other colours. There's a lot of colours going on the tube lines now. So it might be difficult because there's a lot of similar colours, especially, for example, here, where you've got Thames Link and you've got, I forgot what this line's called, the East/South London line. But then it's all right here. But then you have got the blue one and the Victoria line here. Okay, so let's go through all the line names. Let's talk about them, see what they bring, how good they are. So, Lioness Line references the historic achievements and lasting legacy created by the England women's football team. Number one, it's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? Lioness Line. Plus also, it goes through Wembley, but is it really the best way to get to Wembley Stadium, is it? You're more likely to go to Wembley Park, aren't you? Lioness Line. You're naming it after the Lioness is winning the Euros, which is okay. But imagine, right, a new tube line comes out in, say, 1970, 4 years after the 66 World Cup in which England won, and you call let's say the Jubilee line came out 10 years early. You're going to be calling the Jubilee line the Lion Line. It doesn't really work, does it? Because, yeah, I mean, it is an achievement, but it doesn't really reference the local area. It's hard. It doesn't roll off the tongue nicely. Lioness Line. There's a lot of la in there. Anyway, Mildmay Line runs through Dalston. Yeah, honours the small charitable hospital in Shoreditch that has cared for London over many years, notably its pivotal role in the HIV/AIDS crisis in the 1980s. Again, it's a good reference to the local history. Apparently, it's not even that local because 2 other lines are closer to this hospital than this line. Also, I mean, it's just, I'm going to be honest, it's not a very good name for not tube line, an overground line. It's good for like a station theme or something, or, you know, when they've got posters and different descriptions of local events and historical things that have happened in the local area. But for a tube line, for an overground line, it's not great, is it? Windrush Line runs through areas with strong ties to Caribbean communities today, such as Dalston Junction, Peckham Ryan, West Croydon, and honours the Windrush generation. So, the name is actually alright, I think. The Windrush Line. I'm going to get the Windrush to Clapham Junction, or something. that kind of works. It rolls off the tongue a bit nicer than the others, but again, it doesn't really have very strong geographical links. The name to the area. Yeah. Anyway, the Weaver Line Maroon. Uh, it runs through Liverpool Street, Spitalfields, Bethnal Green, and Hackney, areas of London known for their textile trades. But how relevant is that really? I know you want to keep that history alive and reference it because it's important to London, but Weaver Line, it kind of sounds a bit weird. I'm gonna get the Weaver to Enfield. The Weaver, yeah. And this, I think, has to be the greatest casualty. The Suffragette Line celebrates how the working class movement in the East End fought for votes for women and paved the way for women's rights. The line runs to Barking, home of the longest surviving suffragette, Annie Huggett? Hudgett? I don't know. Number one, this line should have been called the Goblin Line, without question. It's a well-established nickname that many commuters who use the line use, and they understand. I'll get the Goblin to Barking. It makes sense. But also, the Suffragette Line, it's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it? I'm going to get the Suffragette to Gospel Oak. I'm going to get the Suffragette to Barking. It's just a bit of a mouthful to say. Also, it's if you don't know about the history of the suffragettes, they did a lot of violent things in order to get women's rights. Now, I know in order to get the government to change some things, violence is necessary because sometimes they aren't going to listen. But think about it. In the past few years, we've got like protests throughout London, for example, just stop oil. Imagine if you called a tube line or an overground line or a crossrail line in the future the Don't Stop Oil line because it helped stop the use of fossil fuels in the capital or something. It feels a bit weird to be naming a line after a protest movement, especially as only is a very weak link. Also, the Goblin Line should have just been the name. That's without question. Finally, this has to be one of the worst links in my opinion. The Liberty Line, which is coloured grey, celebrates the freedom that is a defining feature of London and references the historical independence of the people of Havering. I mean, I know I read a bit about it, there is a strong link of independence in Havering and that area. But the Liberty Line, come on, that sounds a bit American, doesn't it? Literally, if you go onto your mobile phone right now, type Liberty, you will get the emoji that comes up with the Statue of Liberty, right? Plus also, it's just a weird name, isn't it? The Liberty Line. I know it can be, because it's only 3 stops, isn't it? Romford, Emerson Park, Upminster. There's not really much you can make a name about, but the Liberty Line, I mean, come on. Celebrates the freedom that is a defining feature of London. I mean, the whole of London has freedom. The whole of the UK, well, to a degree. Anyway, that's not for me to get into. So here is the official Overground map. I have to say, the colours are good. I do think that this shade of red and this shade of maroon are a bit similar. But, so I think what they should have done, this line, what is it called? What is it called? It's going to get so confusing. The Windrush line. There we go. Should have been coloured the original Overground orange. So at least we've still got a bit of orange in there. Obviously it's still going to have the orange branding, like how the Underground has its red branding for the roundel and stuff. That's how it's on a tube map we've seen. Sorry, that's the old one, and this is the new one. So let's talk about what I think they should have been called. This is personally my opinion. You might have your opinion, you might really like these names, and I don't blame you. But for me, I feel like these references to important moments and important events that have happened in London history, they just feel way too shoehorned in. Like, the Windrush line, I know that it does pass through places with strong Caribbean communities, but it feels a bit they just want to reference it just to please people, just to say that, look, we are aware about these things. But you can do that in other ways without shoehorning them into the name of a line. So let's go through and think about what these names should have been, according to me, according to some other people. So, the Lioness line, this has to be one of the worst ones. I mean, they're all pretty rubbish, but not rubbish, but unideal for the names of overground lines. By the way, I'm sorry if I refer to it as tube lines anywhere throughout this video. I think this should have been called. So originally, most people called it the Watford DC line because it used DC third rail before. I think it should have been called, like other people, the Harlequin line because that's what it was called under Silverlink, if I'm correct. Plus, also a lot of people know it as the Harlequin line. And if I'm not mistaken, there is a shopping centre somewhere along the line that's called the Harlequin. Okay, the Mildmay line, which is go from Richmond to Clapham Junction to Stratford. If we have a look at the full tube map here, I saw one suggestion that I really liked is you call it the Olympia line or the Olympic line because it goes to Stratford because of the 2012 Olympics, and it also goes through Kensington Olympia. So I quite like that line idea. It rolls off the tongue quite nicely. The Olympic line, the Olympia line. I don't know which would be better, but yeah, I like that one. The Windrush line. Now this is the one that I think should have been called the Brunel line because of the Brunel tunnel that goes between under the River Thames. It was the first proper tunnel under a navigable river. And it references the history in that area and one of the most influential people that has shaped London. So I think it should be called the Brunel line. Plus also these names that I've suggested, like Olympic line, Olympia line, Brunel line, Harlequin line, they just roll off the tongue a bit more nicely. People know about this because, for example, this the one at Liverpool Street, they called it the Weaver line, but not many people are going to know the link with the textile industry, so it feels a little bit less relevant. Speaking of the Weaver line, I think this should have still been called the Lee Valley line or Lee Valley lines because that is what they were called originally. It goes up through the Lee Valley to Enfield Town, Cheshunt, and Chingford, etc., etc. People know it as that. People know that, oh, the Lee Valley line, it's going to go through or be associated with the Lee Valley. And I think that's quite a nice name because it's memorable. It has some sort. Yeah, another thing is all of these names that I've proposed and other people have proposed, they all have some sort of geographical link to the area. So, like Harlequin, I think there's a shopping centre called the Harlequin. People notice that already, so it's established. The Olympic line, Olympic Stratford, all goes to Stratford, or Olympia, Olympic, it all goes to Kensington Olympia, right? This one, the Brunel line, Brunel's Tunnel, that sort of area. This one's a bit less strong, but I think the Brunel line is really nice here. Lee Valley lines goes through the Lee Valley, easy peasy. The next one, this is the one that so many people have been complaining about. Gospel Oak to Barking / Riverside, Goblin line. It's a no-brainer. People already know it's the Goblin line. I know technically if you unportmanteaued the Goblin, it'll be the Gospel Oak to Barking line, but ATM machine. Anyway, yeah, so it should have been the Goblin line 100%. That's just so much more. I mean, it's a bit more fun, isn't it? Plus also people already know it like that. Next one, the Liberty line, Romford to Upminster. Let's have a look. I have seen people refer to or propose it as the Rompster or maybe the Upford line or just the Emerson line. I think the Emerson line is quite nice because I know it might be a bit boring, but it rolls off the tongue. It's memorable, tells you where it goes. That's all you need in a line name, right? So that is my thoughts on the new overground lines. Number one, the colours are nice. Number two, the line names are a bit rubbish. I mean, I don't want to say that these events and these historical aspects of London are unimportant, but they don't need to be referenced in a line name. They don't need to be shoehorned in as much as I feel like they have been. I feel like they should have gone with what a lot of people were wanting this to. So essentially the Overground renaming project was to improve clarity and accessibility using the Overground, so it's not all one shade of orange throughout the whole network. And they have done that. They have given them different colors. But these lines, I'm getting confused with which one's which. But for example, if you have some sort of reference to names that are already established within the commuters and transport enthusiasts and London in general, then it's going to be a much easier transition. Plus, also, there's going to be less controversy because these names are already established, or they've already got some sort of connection already that people are aware about. So, yeah. Liberty Line, I think, should be called the Emerson Line. That's the best option, in my opinion. Linus Line, Harlequin Line, or something else. I think the Watford DC Line is a bit weird. Mildmay Line, I forgot which one even that is. Oh, it's that one. The Olympic Line or Olympia Line. I think that's pretty good. Suffragette Line, Goblin Line. Look, it's even green. Green for the Goblin Line. Green for the Goblins. They even made the colour the right colour. Weaver Line should be the Lee Valley Line. Windrush Line should be the Brunel Line. I think people wanted it to be the East London Line, but I feel like we had the Tube Line before called the East London Line, so maybe it's time to mix it up a little bit. Those are my thoughts on the new London Overground lines. If you agree, let me know in the comments. If you disagree, let me know in the comments. I want to hear your thoughts. If you have enjoyed this video, if you want to see more random stuff on this channel, subscribe. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment down below something, share the video, all this beautiful stuff that YouTube people like, and it helps the video out. I'll see you next time for another video and whatever we're doing. Goodbye.